Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you how to improve your level of English so you can become a better English speaker, writer, proofreader, and more. This next video is a part of my English Writing Essentials series, and I will be teaching you how to use exclamation marks. We'll go over some beginner and basic ways to use exclamation marks, when to use exclamation marks in informal or formal writing, and then some more advanced ways of how to use them when you're also using quotes. So let's get started. So in this lesson, you will learn how to use exclamation marks. This is an exclamation mark. An exclamation mark can also be called an exclamation point. So this is something that you need to know about the most common types of sentences. So periods go at the end of declarative sentences. For example, I like cats. This is a declarative sentence, so we end it with a period. Question marks go at the end of interrogative sentences, which can also be called questions. For example, do you like cats? We would end that with a question mark because it's a question. Exclamation points go at the end of exclamatory sentences. For example, I love cats. Here we have an exclamation point. The difference between the first sentence, I like cats, and I love cats, is that one is just a statement, I like cats. When we say, I love cats, you're saying it with a lot of excitement and energy, and so that's why we use an exclamation mark. You could also put, I love cats with a period, or use an exclamation mark. Okay, so rule number 1 is use an exclamation mark to show emotion, emphasis, or surprise. So we use exclamation marks to exclaim something, and to exclaim means to cry out suddenly in surprise, strong emotion, or pain. So here are some examples. Here he comes. I hate you. Stop doing that. Watch out. Hello, how are you? This cheesecake is delicious. So you can see in all of these different sentences, we're using them in different ways. For example, here he comes, it's like excitement. So we're using an exclamation mark for excitement. Stop doing that. Again, it could be you're annoyed or you're worried. Watch out. You're trying to tell someone to be careful. So you're exclaiming, for them to be careful. Or this cheesecake is delicious. You're emphasizing how delicious the cheesecake is. For a lot of these, you could just end it with a period as well. But when you end it with an exclamation mark, it's emphasizing the emotion in that sentence, okay? So rule number 2 is we use an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence. An exclamation mark replaces a period at the end of a sentence. It can also replace a mid-sentence comma if it is inside quotation marks. So here are some examples. Let's get married. This would be correct. I often see people doing this, which is incorrect. Let's get married, exclamation mark with a period. This is incorrect. You only need to use the exclamation mark, okay? So you do not use a period, just the exclamation mark. Again, you could end this sentence with a period or an exclamation mark, but never both. And here's the example about how an exclamation mark can replace a mid-sentence comma. This is another very common error for people, and even for native English speakers. Help me, Bob yelled. So normally in a quotation, you would have a comma here that would replace a period. So for example, if we had, here we would use a comma, we would not use a period. So some people get confused and they'll put a comma after an exclamation mark, thinking that we need to put a comma there. We only use a comma if it's replacing a period. If it's supposed to end with an exclamation mark or a question mark, we do not need to use the comma. The exclamation mark or the question mark replaces the comma. Okay? So this would be incorrect. Help me, Bob yelled. You do not need and you cannot use the comma there. Rule number 3. We use exclamation marks to express great emotion at the end of imperative sentences. We have talked before in my other lessons about imperative sentences, which are like commands or instructions. And we usually use periods at the end of imperative sentences or commands. However, we can use an exclamation mark to express great emotion. So here are some examples. Here's an imperative sentence, sit down. But you could also say, sit down right now. And the difference between that is the exclamation mark is showing there's emphasis and excitement even in your voice when you're saying it. If I said, sit down, it would end with a period. It's more firm and direct. When you have an exclamation mark, maybe you're angry or you're saying it with a lot of emotion. Okay, so listen to the difference between the next example. Be careful or be careful. Okay, so when you have excitement in your voice or you want to express great emotion, we're using an exclamation mark. And the last example, stop doing that. Stop that. Okay, so you can use exclamation marks when you want to express great emotion. So rule number 4, we're going to talk about how to use exclamation marks with quotation marks. So rule 4A, put the exclamation mark at the end of the quotation if it applies to the words enclosed by the quotation marks. I know that sounds a little tricky, so let's look at an example. I just got a promotion, my dad exclaimed. So like we saw with the example earlier, the exclamation mark here is going to go inside the quotation marks because this exclamation mark applies to this entire sentence, okay? So we are going to keep the exclamation mark inside the quotes. Now, rule 4B is a little bit more tricky. If the exclamation mark applies to the sentence as a whole, then place it at the end of the sentence. So for example, after that, my boss told everyone that they were fired for being completely useless. So the reason we're putting the exclamation mark here is this exclamation mark does not just apply to what's inside the quotes. So these quotation marks are quoting what the boss said. The boss told everyone, you're all completely useless. But the exclamation mark applies to the entire sentence. Imagine I'm telling my friend, after that, my boss told everyone that they were fired for being completely useless. Like I'm exclaiming and showing emotion, like I can't believe it. So that exclamation mark applies to the entire sentence, not just to what's inside those quotation marks. It's not very common you're going to encounter something like this. This is just for you to know how to write it if you wanted to do something like that, or why someone would have the exclamation mark outside the quotation mark. So that's the difference right there. Okay, so rule number 5, when do we use exclamation marks with informal and formal writing? We use exclamation marks most frequently in informal writing. So, for example, when you're talking to your friends, hey Jack, how's it going? I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Another example, congratulations on your engagement. I use exclamation marks all the time. I probably use them too much. Be careful not to overuse exclamation marks in formal writing. So in general, we avoid using an exclamation mark or an exclamation point in formal business writing. You should not use exclamation marks in resumes or cover letters. You must not use them, okay? Here's an example of when you might see someone use an exclamation mark in a business email or something. You did a great job on the reports, Jason. So there's an exclamation mark there. It might not be common, but sometimes when I'm having emails with different clients of mine and they're really happy with my work, they'll say, oh, I loved it. You did a great job, exclamation mark. But just one and just once in the entire email. It won't be very often. I have a tendency of using exclamation marks probably too much in formal writing when I'm talking with clients. I just find it to be really direct with just writing periods. But I definitely think I overdo it because my clients don't use exclamation marks and I use them all the time. So just be on the safe side and try not to use more than one exclamation mark per email for sure if you're writing something in formal business writing. Just stick to periods and commas and just try to be polite with your words rather than overusing exclamation marks. Once you have a more comfortable relationship with someone, I have clients I've been working with for years, then I feel I can be a little bit more liberal with my exclamation point use. Okay, so now it's time to practice. We have 6 different sentences, and I want you to correct them and let me know which of these sentences are correct and which of these sentences are incorrect. So I want you to look at where the exclamation mark is placed or located, if that's correct, if there's too many punctuation marks, and if it's the correct usage of an exclamation mark. So we have 6 different sentences, and I want you to let me know how many you got correct out of 6. So I'm first going to read them all, and then I want you to, on a piece of paper or in the comment section, write your answers, and then we will check them together. So I'm going to start reading them. Number 1, hello, how are you? Number 2, I got a promotion yesterday. Number 3, Laura screamed, it's going to rain on my wedding day. Number 4, stop talking to me. Number 5, I found my keys, Mom cried out. And number 6, we just saw Justin Bieber, my sister yelled. Okay, so pause this video and write down the answers. Now I'm going to let you know what the answers are. So number 1 is incorrect. The problem with number 1 is the placement. There's a space here between hello and the exclamation mark. So if you wanted to use an exclamation mark after hello, because you're really excited to see someone, then you have to put the exclamation mark right beside the O. A lot of people do this when they're writing. They put a space after the last letter of the word in the sentence and then put the punctuation mark. But no, you have to put the exclamation mark directly beside the last letter. Number 2 is correct. That's fine. Again, you could put a period there if you wanted, but when you put the exclamation mark, it makes it more, you're showing excitement. Number 3, Laura screamed, it's going to rain on my wedding day. This is incorrect. And it's incorrect because we do not need this period here. We're okay. We've got the exclamation mark, the quotation marks, and we can end it just like that. Okay? We cannot use both of these together. The same is with number 4. You can use either a period or an exclamation mark, but you cannot use both. So we're going to get rid of the period here. Number 5 is correct. Okay, I found my keys. We're going to end this with the exclamation mark, which brings us to number 6, which is also incorrect. Again, we can use either an exclamation mark or a comma, but we cannot use both here. So because this is an excited sentence, they just saw Justin Bieber, we're going to use the exclamation mark instead of the comma. Okay, so let me know in the comment section how many you got right out of 6. And feel free to practice and write your own exclamatory sentences using exclamation marks in the comment section below to practice. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it taught you something about how to use exclamation marks. Make sure to check the description below for all of my different videos in my English Writing Essentials series, where I teach you how to use commas, apostrophes, quotation marks, how to capitalize, how to use colons and semicolons, and more. And I will be continuing to update this series of videos with more videos on punctuation and grammar skills that you need to know to become an excellent English writer and speaker. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one, and I will see you in my next video.